What's going on, guys? Graham GSM Matthews here with WrestleRant.com. And today we're talking to the lead director from Escape the Undertaker, the recent Netflix special out a couple of months ago. Still, you can watch it right now on Netflix, part of many other awesome projects as well. Ben Sims. Ben, what's going on, my man? Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. When I got the opportunity to talk here today, I was very excited because I saw this a couple of months ago. Obviously, I'm a big wrestling fan. I follow that stuff. And I saw this the first moment it came out. And I was very excited when it was first announced a couple of months ago. So I'm very excited to be talking about it here today. But yeah, just talk about your involvement with it and how it all kind of came about with Escape the Undertaker.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I've done quite a few interactive titles now for Netflix, most notably You versus Wilds. We did an entire season, 8 episodes of that, and followed it up with two other films, the following year or so after that. So, I have a bit of experience in interactivity, and the production company I work quite a bit with, Electus and Propagate, were approached by WWE to sort of collaborate and co-produce, this concept they had with what ended up being Escape the Undertaker. And so, yeah, I had a chat with Rob Bookta, who's the showrunner, and I work with on a lot of other projects, and we sort of developed and went from there. Sort of this conceptually started as somewhat of kind of an escape room, idea, and evolved into what it is now. And yeah, just, from there, Netflix loved the idea, and in co-production with WWE, we came up with a bunch of different ideas. The New Day were from the start, kind of paired with the Undertaker. They're obviously like incredible personalities and huge superstars. So that was kind of a no-brainer, seeing and what helped draw me to the project, is just seeing that dynamic between, the contrast between the Undertaker and the New Day. There's just so many fun. I just saw opportunity, of just so many just fun directions we could go with all that. Obviously, the Undertaker is a legend, unto himself. So yeah, went from there, developed the story, integral in coming up with all the story ideas and writing the story, and all the way through production, directing, shooting the entire thing. We shot in Atlanta through post-production. So yeah, I was pretty involved from start to finish on the whole thing.
That's crazy. And I mean, you said you've worked on a lot of other interactive projects with Netflix before. So when you get the chance to do this, and even as a wrestling fan, when I hear this is first announced, interactive, special for Netflix involving New Day and Undertaker right around the time for Halloween, it just sounds purely ridiculous, which is just the best way like to put it,
Exactly,
especially with with wrestling personalities and who was involved. So like, how does this compare to everything else you've done up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, it was very different, and that was, again, another thing that drew me to it, is with a lot of the, most specifically the Bear Grylls stuff. It's outdoors. He's breaking the fourth wall. It's a one-man show in many ways. And, it's probably the only real similarity is that it's just pre-established IP or characters, which, but other than that, I mean, they're very just, all great characters on both sides, but just very different ends of the spectrum in terms of what they bring to the table, and also just how we were going to execute that story. I mean, with the last one we did with Bear, it was out in the Italian Dolomites, and before that it was out in Africa, and we're all over these vast backdrops, whereas Undertaker's pretty much all contained to the Undertaker's house.
Yeah.
The guys, the fact that they're doing live performances, every week, if not a couple times a week, or, it's that part was exciting to me as well, because I felt pretty confident we could be nimble and just get a lot done in a short amount of time to just elevate, the story with the time and the money we had. And that's what ended up happening. I mean, they're so quick, and they know their characters better than anybody else. So just being able to kind of set them up for success was kind of my goal. And then just let them run with it, and then just, collaborate from there.
How much time did you guys have to film this?
I mean, we shot the entire thing in under a week. I can tell you that one. Yeah. So it was, and it was great. I mean, we squeezed every ounce of time we could get to put on the, on the screen. And yeah, we moved extremely fast. I mean, an incredible production team, the DP and the production designer did an incredible job with, essentially pre-setting and pre-lighting just about every scene, so we could, just move almost in real time from scene to scene and shoot it, almost as if it was live, and take time to go back and tweak and get alterations and change camera setups and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we moved really fast. And then I think that also just helped the performances because they were able to sort, there wasn't a lot of starting and stopping. It was really just moving between setups and going. So, it was shot probably a lot faster than most people are comfortable with, but again, just incredible team to pull it off. So I was pretty happy with it for what we were able to do in that amount of time.
Yeah, I think everyone else was as well. I mean, just watching it back, and for me anyway, I mean, I watched it once, went back, watched a different ending, and between this and the Bear Grylls stuff that you mentioned, and You versus Wild, and all the other interactive projects you've been a part of, does it make it more difficult? Because this isn't just like a movie you film from start to finish or different scenes. Like, there's a lot of different endings you have to go back and do. Like, does that make it more difficult?
It does. I mean, there's challenges in every production, even if it's just linear or live, or you've got 3 months for a movie. But it is. I mean, it's. I've done enough now to confidently say. I mean, it's exponentially more difficult because you've just got a ripple effect anytime you're going to tweak something. It's easily 8 to 16 times more complicated. Doesn't mean, people can figure out how to do it, but until you've really kind of been in the trenches, you can anticipate as much as you want, but I think it just takes repetition and just getting used to making and understanding interactive projects to really, you assess your decisions a little bit differently in real time because as opposed, there's not an immediate cause and effect at many times. It might be something that'll, you're going to make a decision that's a quick fix, but it's going to really, really throw you, derail you down the road, and just cost you time and money. So it's, that does play in, to how you're going to shoot things and how you're going to tell the story. Because you don't want to worry about that. It's for sure something you're going to need to worry about, but you want to worry about telling the story. So, in conjunction with Rob, booked the showrunner and Liz Schultz, the production executive, it's like we've done enough of these together that as we're coming up with the story, we're all just very conscious of like making sure we can concentrate on telling that story and not, how are we gonna have to put out, solve these problems. So, as always on any production, things come up, but it is interesting how much that influences, you really want to have a rock solid story and then figure out how we're going to tell it with the time and money. And this is a little bit more of a trade-off between the two because of the complexity of it, at least in my approach and experience with it.
No, yeah, that makes sense. And especially like, again, there's so many different avenues you can go with this, and you can have it end at any time, really, like any other interactive film, obviously. But I think what really stood out to a lot of people, and me watching for the first time, obviously when you first turn it on, you go through the house and you do all the steps, but there is the option there to choose, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it, but you can choose to leave the house and then it's over. And like the credits play and it says the Undertaker's name next to it. Was that your idea? Was that Rob's idea? Whose idea was that? It
was I want to say initially it was Netflix's idea, but it was all those types of ideas. I mean, they're great partners in projects I've worked with them on, and a lot of it ends up being everybody's idea in a way. It's kind of somebody has initial concept, I'll pile onto it, Rob will pile, everybody sort of we'll try and amp it up a bit. So, but it was tricky because, full disclosure, like I wasn't the biggest fan of that initial concept at first. Really? Cause we had such great footage of him doing other things. And I was just like, and it paid off. It was a great idea by them. It's you want to take those risks and hope they pay off. And I think that one did. Cause I did see, on Twitter and stuff, people did respond to that, which, I hope means we did our job. Like we did it in a way that people were like got it. Or like, all right, you want to, cause you want to set up what the experience is going to be like. And I think that sounds like, for most people kind of alluded to like, we can have some fun with this and that kind of thing. So
I think Collider called it the funniest 2-minute movie that you'll see on Netflix all year, which was great.
Yeah. Right. See, so there you go. So it's, And again, that's that's what makes the interactivity fun. As challenging as it can be. It's like, that's fun, right? Because you kind of get that, you can get that, and then still people can go back and watch the another version of the story, and you can just, hit different emotions, and it's not an all, you could never do that in linear, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
people
yeah.
would be like, it'd just be one giant joke then. So
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
think it set the stage real nicely too. Cause then, full disclosure, as far as like the WWE studios stuff is concerned, they do a lot of their own movies. WWE does, and some of
Yep.
them aren't so great. I mean, I've enjoyed some of them. Some of them are guilty pleasures. Some of them aren't so great. So some people had, that skepticism going into a project like this, which was completely separate of that. But I think as soon as they see that, they're like, all right, this is something different, especially with who's involved, the theme and the
Yep.
vibe you guys were going for. And it ended up coming out really, really well. What was your
Thank you.
experience
Yeah.
like? Absolutely, man. What was your experience working with Taker and the New Day guys and everyone else involved with the project?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't say enough nice thing about, the Undertaker and the New Day, and yeah, just even WWE studios as well, like working with them, they were, again, they know their characters better than anybody else. So I wanted to obviously be very respectful of that, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I wanted to tell a new side of the story or add to the lore, or, really push like what we could do with those characters. And, I think I was very happy with the way, we were all able to work together, because I think we all were moving in the same direction as far as like seeing it as an opportunity to do something new, and just really elevate the brand. And that was, my initial interview and meetings with WWE. That's what I told them. I was like, look, I just really want to do something you guys haven't done before, and
That's
really
cool.
push this, to be something different, and but also still be true to the brand and to the characters and that stuff. And
Hmm.
again, I feel like we did a pretty good job, of doing that, in terms of just elevating, a character that's been around for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So I really took it on as a exciting challenge. I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't worried, but, I wasn't like, oh, what am I going to do? Is he going to like this stuff? It's just like, I just want to have I want to be prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the thing, is I was like, I feel like I can do my job. If I know I've done my homework and I've done everything I can to learn about him as a character, and just really, go down the rabbit hole on the history and what got him to where he's at today, then he'll like some stuff, he won't like some stuff. And like,
No.
whatever we can agree on is going to hopefully be the best version. And I think that's what we ended up with. I mean, there was maybe a handful of things that they weren't into, as characters and stuff. And it doesn't,
Mhm.
we came up with a better solution. So it was just a really positive experience. I mean, I'd love to work with all of them again for sure.
Well, kind of going off of that, I know you had done some stuff with G4 many years ago, right? During their initial run, like 2010, 2011 or so.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Way back. Yeah.
So that being said, G4 is back now. Xavier Woods, Austin Creed, what have you. He's working with them now. So I feel like that might be a logical partnership at some point. You back with G4
Dude,
doing something
man,
with them.
I love it. I mean, he like X especially, he's like super collaborative. He's got so many ideas. He just was constantly pitching stuff and
Mhm.
coming up with stuff. And I love that kind of relationship. Like I said, I'm feel like my job, especially on this type of thing, is to just set everybody else to do their job successfully. I don't want to show up and go, here's what it is. This is what it's going to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
of course I have an idea, and there needs to be the structure, and I'll, make sure that my job's to shepherd the story. But like, I want to know, you know what I mean? Like, I love the jumping off of ideas and just setting up opportunities to do stuff. And there was a lot of that on Escape. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I should start coming up with ideas for those guys.
Yeah, I think that'd be perfect. And I know he's doing a lot of, I actually just spoke to him like a week ago about his G4 stuff. He's doing a lot of video game stuff now. So
Yeah,
I think, kind of revisiting that maybe in a different form,
it's a
with
good
maybe
call. Yeah,
something not even wrestling related would be cool. But
yeah, no, totally.
going into a project like this too, how much research do you have to do? I mean, with Undertaker, even if you're not a wrestling fan, most people kind of have either
Mhm.
heard of the Undertaker or slightly familiar with him. Maybe not his entire backstory as a character, from like killing his parents and stuff like that, which is completely ridiculous. But like
Yeah.
the New Day aren't as well known in like the wider sphere of pop culture or whatever. How much like research do you have to do going into a project like this, or were you already kind of familiar with the guys involved?
I honestly wasn't that as familiar with them.
Mhm.
Once I became familiar, I was like, how do I not know more,
Yeah.
about them? I mean, I watch a lot of stuff, but I try to spend most of my time creating stuff, I
Sure.
mean, you got to be aware of what else is out there. It does go hand in hand, but I mean, yeah, it didn't take long. Like as soon as got a little more familiar with, the history of them. And then just once I saw them on camera, I was like, great. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I obviously did more research, but it was like, once I saw them and saw the personalities, I got it. Right. And
Yeah.
and that's like their strength, I think, right. Is like, you don't even need to do a deep dive if you're a newer fan to them. Once you kind of see the guys, you get what you see, and it's great. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, especially for them, with the with the Undertaker, the approach was a little bit more like, how can we fill in some backstory that's mysterious, because that was that was one thing that was surprising with him is how much, and it's part of the character as well, right? But just like how much was unsaid and just sort of assumed, or you got the gist and the tone of him, but you know, there was just so many small things, and that's where that ended up being the backbone of our story, right? Is like, what really does this urn do for him, and that kind of thing, and it's simple, right? And I think that's what made the story pretty strong, at least, you know, from my perspective. And so we kind of tried to think of the same approach from the New Day, who are a bit more in your face, and they're just, it felt like their motivations and character drive should easily be as simple, and that's life, right? I mean, most of our motivations and stuff are pretty simple. It's just they just happen to do it in neon with pancakes and unicorns, you know what I mean? And so it was just like, again, it was just digging into what they you know, their backstory and who they are as people. It kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it was fun. It was fun to do, but also just, it was very easy to get to know them, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. And especially for someone like, I mean, I'm a wrestling fan, but for someone who isn't a fan, if I was to watch this with someone who wasn't a wrestling fan, like if you're just browsing through Netflix and you're looking for some like good Halloween or just a movie in general or special or whatever, you can watch it without knowing anything about the characters previously, like, and go into it just to enjoy it for what it is, which I think is what works about it so well. Have you had any thoughts, or have there been any talks about potentially doing another one, whether it be a sequel or a different holiday, like a Christmas version or something like that?
Right.
Anything like that along those lines?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing official yet, or at least that I can speak to. I mean, it all depends on if people ask for it, you know, really. Absolutely. I mean, it's like, so that's, you know, I've been asked something similar before, and I always just say, like, just, you know, let the internet know, you know, or everybody on the internet, you know, as you see it, just let them know, and things can happen overnight like that. So yeah, I personally would love to do another iteration of it, whether it is the Christmas version or other characters in the same world, or expand that universe, or, you know, the Undertaker or the New Day. I mean, I think there's a plethora of opportunities to expand on it in many ways, even if it's not interactive, but sort of in the same canon and same, you know, conceptually, before it or after it. And I think we're seeing more of that, you know, with, you know, people doing prequels instead, or people, you know, like the Zack Snyder Justice League, right? It's like the people asked for that, right? And it took a while and a lot of money, but it's not impossible, you know, regardless of how it's initially received or how many people watch it or don't watch it. So yeah, I mean, I do like, you know, that it was a holiday thing. I mean, in the back of all our minds, you know, pie in the sky, we're all like, well, hopefully it's a holiday class. You know, you watch Christmas movies around Christmas. Hopefully this is a yearly Halloween thing that people just revisit and enjoy. So, you know, I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. If we get to escape the Undertaker verse trending on Twitter, maybe that'll convince Netflix to do it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there you go.
We'll see. And that'd be a great idea. But as we wind down here, obviously you've been involved with a lot of other great projects. You mentioned You versus Wild earlier. Talk a little bit about that and where people can catch it and what it's kind of about, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. So, majority of the interactive stuff I've done, especially in recent years, is all can be found on Netflix. I mean, they've got a great platform for it. You know, I don't work exclusively in interactive, but it's kind of been my main focus lately, and you know, I find it exciting because it's new and different. And but yeah, there's I guess it'd be 10-ish total episodes of You versus Wild on Netflix, which some of them are 2-parters in the first season. There's some longer format stuff for the Animals on the Loose, which we shot in Africa, and Out Cold, which we shot in the Dolomites. And those are fun. They're all, you know, we've kind of evolved the genre with those, and they're a little bit different. So the first season's a little bit mission based, and you know, as we went on to shooting the ones in Africa's got quite a bit of animals and other things. And there's you know, they're structurally a bit like Escape the Undertaker, where there's kind of different versions of intertwining stories. And, you know, it's pretty much impossible in any of them to watch everything on your first try. I mean, it is impossible, you know, to see everything on your first try, really, which is by design. It's supposed to be fun that way. And it's supposed to be, you know, something that you can go back and experience in different ways, and, you know, kind of go from there and decide what kind of adventure you want to go on.
Yeah, I think that's why Escape the Undertaker works so well too, because I didn't do every possible adventure. So when I go back and watch it next October before the next Halloween, you can do the other ones you haven't previously explored. And obviously that's the case with all the other interactive elements of these films you've talked about. And that being said, going forward, you mentioned earlier that you're out to go film something tomorrow. Can you talk about what your next project is, what you're working on right now?
Yeah, no, I mean, I also shoot Running Wild with Bear Grylls. It's on Nat Geo.
Yep.
So we're just working on an extended season of that.
Nice.
I'm headed out to shoot that these next couple months, and then yeah, I've got a bunch of other things in development, and I'm great idea on the G4 projects with Xavier and maybe some of those other guys. So
Yeah.
I'm always looking for interesting, exciting new projects and just take them as they come. I don't necessarily have one particular thing. I mean, I love interactivity, but I'm looking for a next film script and that kind of stuff right now as well. So
Yeah, I mean, amongst everything else you've done this year alone, but working with Undertaker and Bear Grylls in 2021 sounds like a hell of a year to me. So
it was, yeah, very, pretty lucky. Yeah, it's been great.
quite the way to cap it off. So obviously, the possibilities are endless and a lot of stuff to look forward to going forward. But as we wind down, man, where can people find you, your work? And you got a website as well, bensims.com, right?
Yeah. So bensims.com is, as right now, it's the whole thing's getting revamped. So it's, but you can contact me there, hit me up with ideas and stuff there. But yeah, it's still active. You can, all my contact info is there. And then I'm primarily on Instagram at Ben_Sims. So yep, come find me.
Awesome. People can follow you there, and obviously check out Escape the Undertaker on Netflix right now. You can see the poster right behind me. I watched it myself, can attest to it. It's a lot of fun, even though we're heading to the month of December. Definitely check it out.
Still check it out.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Ben, thanks so much for the time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.